Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about a recent news coming from the Golan Heights region that is situated along the border of Israel and Syria. So what is the development that has been happening in the Golan Heights? What is the area or issue of contention? And why this region is again making the news headline? Let us try to understand this in more detail. Now before moving further in the video, first of all, I would like to give you that what are the topics we are going to discuss in today's discussion. So first of all, we are going to talk about the current relevance of the Golan Heights region. Second, we are going to discuss both the geographical significance and importance of the Golan Heights, where it is located, what kind of reason it is in terms of the geography, topography. Third, we are going to discuss about the dispute and contentions, both historically as well as in the present time. We are also going to discuss that why Israel is so much interested in having a control over this area. What is the significance or importance in terms of economy, in terms of security? And in last, we are going to discuss in detail about what is the current control that is being exercised in the Golan Heights by all the parties that are involved here. So without further ado, let us try to understand the topic in more detail. Now recently, the Turkey, which is a country in the what we can call as the border of in Asia and Europe, it has strongly criticized the Israel's plan. Also, one thing you should note down, the name of Turkey officially has been changed. So Turkey, now it is known by the name of Turkey, that is Turkiye. So one correction you should do here. Now Turkey has strongly criticized Israel's plan, where the Prime Minister and the officials of Israel have been talking about increasing, most precisely we can say doubling the population of the Golan Heights by bringing more Israeli settlements, more Israeli people in this area. Now this step or this plan of Israel has been termed by Turkey as expansionist plan, expansionist policy. Expansionist policy basically refers to such kind of policies which a nation state adopts largely to expand and increase the area or the boundary. And this Turkey believes will threaten and will have a negative impact in the overall regional stability, which already is a kind of region that keeps on sitting on the powder keg. Any small disturbances can create a large scale war and confrontation like situation in the Middle East. So if we talk about this Golan Heights, historically it was in the 1967, a 6-day war, which is a very important war in the Middle East, was fought, and Israel completely took control of this area, and it has remained in the Israeli control, a large part of Golan Heights, not the entire Golan Heights, for decades and decades. Last week, the Israeli troops have moved into the demilitarized zone, that is a buffer zone, which existed since the UN forces entered into that area. This has happened largely because of the collapse of the Bashar al-Assad government that we have discussed many times in our previous videos as well. If you have not watched those videos about the fall of Assad regime, I would strongly recommend and suggest that you should go and look at those videos. Now, strengthening of the Golan Heights is something which is considered as a strengthening of the state of Israel. This is a statement that is coming directly from the Prime Minister of Israel, that is Benjamin Netanyahu. So obviously this statement coming from the highest official of the country underlines the significance and importance that the Israel attaches to the Golan Heights region. Now, if you look at the map of the Middle East, especially the Israel region, first of all, let us focus on this map. This is a map that represents the Middle East in more, we can say, comprehensive manner. So we have the Israel, as you can say, a kind of triangular state, and on the northern border of Israel, it shares boundary with two countries. Toward the Mediterranean Sea, we can see the Israel has a border with Lebanon, and toward the eastern side, it shares a border with Syria. Now, this red shaded region that you see between the Israel and Syria is what is Golan Heights. Now, let us try to zoom this area and look at the Golan Heights in more detail. Now, if you look at this map clearly, this is what the Golan Heights looks like. As we can see, to the east of Golan Heights, you have the Syria, and one special, very important center, we can say the city of Syria here you have, that is Quneitra. So Quneitra is very important, strategically significant, because it has earlier been under the control of Assad government's military. Now it has been under the control of rebel groups. Now to the west of the Golan Heights, you have very important water body that is called as Sea of Galilee, very, very important for Israel's. And then we can see to the north, you have the Lebanon. Now, if you try to understand in more detail, what kind of geography does Golan Heights has? Now, Golan Height is a type of a rocky plateau. That is how we can simply what you can call as describe it. Situated, as you discussed, in the southwestern part of Syria or northeastern part of Israel. Now, very importantly, Golan Height is very close, in very close proximity to the capital city of Syria, that is Damascus. In terms of the distance, it is just lying 60 kilometers to the south of the Syrian capital of Damascus, which is also the major military center of the country. If you try to understand in more detail and look at the map here, this is the Golan Heights, and to the south of Golan Heights, this is the Sea of Galilee that we have talked about. And to the south of Golan Heights, you can see a river flows. This river is called as Yarmouk River, and the plateau overall is made up of a kind of basaltic rock. It is a kind of volcanic plateau. And those of you who have studied geography must be knowing that when the volcanic plateau erodes, what kind of rock develops? This is also interestingly a question that was asked in last year prelims examination. So comment down your answer, which rocks develop, which soil develop actually after the or due to the erosion of volcanic rocks. So this soil that develop, that is called as Chernozem in Europe, or in India we term it as a black soil. If you don't know, now you know. So the black soil is very fertile, and the volcanic soil, the black soil that is found in this area, is used for the cultivation of fruit plantations. The major fruits that is cultivated here are apple and cherry. You have orchards that you will find here, as well as grape plantation is also practiced here in large scale, because in terms of climate, if you look at this area, it is lying in the Mediterranean climate zone, which is known for its wine production, viticulture, and the citrus fruit plantation. So that is exactly what is being done in this region. So agriculturally, this area is very significant as well. Now, apart from this, vital water sources that feed the Jordan River that flows at the border of Israel and Jordan, and then goes out and finally drains out into the Dead Sea areas. So Jordan River also gets water from this, and Hasbani River, which is a tributary of this Jordan River, it also flows from Lebanon and through the Golan Heights. So that is how we can briefly describe the geography of this particular area. Now, the contention and the conflict related to this area can be traced back to the year 1967. Up until 1967, Golan Heights was under the administrative control of the Syrian government. However, in 1967, when a six-day war was waged, when many Arab states colluded together to strike against the Israel fought back strongly and became victorious, emerged victorious. As a result of it, it then occupied and annexed the Golan Heights. Thus, in 1974, both Israel and Syria, before that also Syria tried and used its force, we can say, without success to capture the Golan Heights. Thus, in 1974, they both signed an armistice, kind of, we can say, a ceasefire agreement, and the Golan had been relatively quiet since. Now, armistice basically means that pending the final resolution of the dispute, no country will wage a war against each other related to this particular issue. Now, why Israel is so much interested in having or to exercise its control over Golan Heights? Obviously, we can understand it from the geographical location, which is a very strategic. Now, we know that Israel basically faces a threat from the Lebanon, because you have the Hezbollah group operating largely here, dominate here. You have Syria that is in the east. So the Golan Heights basically provide a what you can call as an access point both towards Syria and Lebanon. Thus, if we try to understand, it basically is considered by Israel as a kind of buffer zone between the Israeli towns and instability that prevails in the neighboring areas, both in the Lebanon and Syria. Especially in the current time when the Syria has become highly unstable, when the rebel groups, largely most of the groups which are termed actually as a terrorist organization, have taken control of power after ousting the this Bashar al-Assad regime. Now, the region also has a strategic importance, because if you remember, I told you the Golan Heights, clear from the name itself, height referred to the higher altitude. So it is a kind of plateau. And if Israeli military is deployed in higher areas, it will be able to see in all the regions, in all the sites. So from here, you have the Haifa region, that is where the Gaza Strip is situated to the south of it. And this area is also very critical for the Israel. So from here also, you can basically, from the military outpost, you can take and have a look over the Haifa region. Then you have the disturbed area along the Lebanon-Syria border. And most importantly, if you talk about the Iran issue also plays a role here. Because if you remember, Bashar al-Assad regime was a very staunch supporter of Iranian government and vice versa. And now in the terms of, in the times of sudden instability, Israel claims that Iran is trying to establish itself permanently on the Syrian side of this border in order to launch attacks on the Israel in future. So Israel will have to face two frontal assault, both from the Lebanon side where Hezbollah group is operating and from the Syrian side where Iran might be able to capture the power and then use it as a launch pad. Now this is about the strategic security based significance. However, the Golan Heights, as we have discussed, it has agricultural importance as well because you have fertile black soil. And third and most importantly, the water resources also are very vital for Israel. If you look at this area, that is the Sea of Galilee. Sea of Galilee is around the Golan Heights area and it supplies the largest volume of fresh water to the Israeli agriculture, farmers as well as for drinking water purposes. So if suppose Israel vacates the Golan Heights just in future, if just we assume it, obviously it will threaten the fresh water supply to the entire state of Israel. So that is why economically, from the agricultural perspective, from the farming perspective, from the strategic perspective, Golan Heights becomes very critical for Israel. That is why it wants to strengthen its control over the region. If you look at the settlement of Golan Heights, as per the current estimate, it is believed that about 50,000 people are residing here. Now, this 50,000 people, if you look at the majority of these people who are from the ethnic minority Arab-speaking group that is called as Druze. Druze is basically a sect of Islam, and basically they always have been the staunch supporter of Bashar al-Assad. So it is a minority group, ethnic minority group. So their population stands somewhere about, we can say, 20-25,000. And similarly, about 20-25,000 of Israeli soldiers, after the Golan Heights was annexed by Israel, they have settled there along with the families, and they are the ones who are practicing largely the farming, agriculture, and the fruit orchard plantations and everything like this. So this is how we can understand the overall population. Now the question comes that if you go back few weeks back, when the situation in Syria was stable, when the Bashar al-Assad still was the ruling president of the Syria, that time what was the control or how the control over region was exercised? Now again, if you take a look at this map here, this is the Golan Heights in entirety. The green area that you see is the occupied Golan Heights, referring to the Israeli controlled region. And this purple line that you see, where it is about 10 km wide at this widest location, this purple region was something that was controlled by the Syrian, what you can say called as Syrian parties. Why Syrian parties? Because the control keeps on changing hands. Sometimes it was under the control of Assad's regime, sometimes it was under the control of rebel group and all that. So nonetheless, Syria overall has been under the control of this, what you can call as, we can refer as this area to the purple of this, to the east of this purple line. Actually, if we talk about this purple line that you are seeing here, this is a demilitarized zone. So to the west of demilitarized zone, Israel has control over. To the east of this demilitarized zone, we have the control by the Syrian party. Now, what about the purple line? If you look at the purple line, this is the region which was largely under the UN supervision. If you talk about UN supervision, it was the United Nations Disengagement Observer Forces that were supported by military observations of UN Truce Supervision Organization. If you remember, in 1974, Israel and Syria have signed an armistice agreement regarding the Golan Heights regions. That is why UN-led organization was overlooking this. Now, after the instability in Syria and toppling of the Assad regime, how the control have changed? So let us compare these maps. This is the older map. Now what has happened? Israel has taken advantage of the instability in Syria and also to strengthen its security architecture and to ensure that no threat from Syrian landmass or land can trigger any kind of attacks in Israel. They have entered into this buffer zone, this 10 km wide purple line that you are seeing. This is the buffer zone. So earlier Israel was not entering to buffer zone. No country's military was allowed in this zone. Now Israel has entered in this zone, and this zone that you see here, the blue line or the blue shaded area that you see on the map, this has been the region that has been captured by the Israeli troops in the buffer zone. If you look at the control change that has happened in Israel, so till Damascus, as you discussed, starting from Aleppo, then Homs, Hama, and finally Damascus fell to the HTS, that is Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, led by al-Jolani. Now, very interesting fact I am going to tell you why his name is al-Jolani. Many people claim that al-Jolani comes from al-Golani. Al-Golani means from the Golan. So basically, the current we can say leader who has taken charge of Syria, he also belongs to the Golan Heights region. So this is falling to the HTS, and in the south you have the unified opposition groups, that is rebel groups. They also have captured this entire territory. So that is how the control over the Golan Heights have changed in past few weeks. Now, the importance of such places can be underlined by looking at the previous year question that has been asked in the UPSC prelims examination. The question that was asked is, the area known as Golan Heights sometimes appears in the news in the context of the events related to which of the region? Central Asia, Middle East, Southeast Asia, Central Africa. Now, obviously, if you have watched this video, I am sure that this question will be a very, very easy question for you. So, do comment what is the correct answer for this particular question. That is all for this particular video. I hope you understood the issues related to or pertaining to the Golan Heights. Thank you very much.